Podcast. A grand vision plays out in your head like a movie on a big screen. All the set design and characters come with a complete and full story arc. During pre-production, everything seems to be coming into focus according to plan. As go time approaches, the troubles begin to amplify and cause friction. Piece by piece, the parts seem to come apart, reshape, or take on a life of their own, forcing your well-laid plan to become fluid and mold to reality. By the time the fruits of your labor become realized, your vision has morphed into something different. What you saw in your head looks different in front of your eyes. What you learn along the way will inevitably change your next endeavor. I'm Kevin Donaldson, always here with Mike Falaise, and welcome to the Suffering Podcast. If you're a fan of overcoming adversity and overcoming suffering, then we're for you, because that's what we do here, and that's the stories that we highlight. So do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, please comment, ring the bell so you can get notified of all of our new content, and now you can join. And of course, follow us on all social media so you can find out what we're up to when we're up to it. We have some returning guests here all the way back from episode 222. And we have Kate Califano and Eric Smith, the most generic name I've ever heard in my life.
That's what it is. Yeah.
We got to change it. We got to like put your middle name in there so you got the three names.
I usually go by Eric J.
Eric J.
Yeah. So like when I sign my police reports, it's Eric J. Smith, just to like, that's my signature, has the J in it because Eric Smith is so.
So if you look
7 digits,
if you look
digits.
for me on the internet, it's Kevin P. Donaldson, because there's a lot of Kevin Donaldson. So that's the only way to differentiate. But we're having you back here because we had this little event on August 2nd. 2025, and it was a wonderful event. It was Seminar Stack, and I want to bring you in here because you're doing another one. That's the first thing. But second, I want to hear all of the things that went in behind this whole event, the pains, the sufferings, the joys, the victories, the defeats, and everything in between, because I thought it was really great. But I was looking at it from a person who walked into the Hollywood Casino in Grantwood, Pennsylvania, and I'm like, wow, this is wonderful. But man, this looks like a lot of work. But thanks for coming back.
Of course. Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Before we get into anything, let's throw a big shout out to our marquee sponsor. That's Toyota of Hackensack. We don't trust anybody as police. We certainly don't trust anybody as podcasters, but we do trust the guys over at Toyota Hackensack. So if you're looking for a car, go to toyotahackensack.com and tell them the Suffering Podcast sent you. Same thing as last time. We have a social media question. This one comes from Slipknot422. This is a really tough one because I'm looking at this and I try not to prep coming into these social media questions. I obviously have them. I want it to be fresh and genuine on air. But this is a tough one. What is a material object that you cannot live without? Kate, why don't you lead this one off? And I know you had some time to think about this one.
Yeah, this one's agonizing. I don't feel like there's a lot of things I can't live without. I will say the most generic answer is probably my cell phone, solely because it connects me to so many other things that I need. Specifically when it comes to things like event planning and communication and all the things that we're trying to promote. So I'm going to go ahead and say the cell phone. It just connects us to too many things. I feel like that's the one thing that I can't go without.
So I understand that, because when you use your cell phone for other things besides looking at reels and videos and things like that, when you start using that as a real business tool, that's why every 2 years I get a new cell phone, because it's a hard thing to live without, especially when you run your business by your phone.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Eric, what do you think?
I think for me, I'm going to go with my watch. I've worn a watch pretty much my entire life. I feel weird when I don't have it on my wrist. You know, it goes back to my police time and like always having to have a watch. You need it for everything, you know. And then even now with the recovery, like this tracks my heart rate, tracks my sleep, and I use that to help see how I'm doing and what's reacting differently with my symptoms. So I can't go a day without it. We took a travel trip recently and I forgot my charger and I was like freaking out because like I then went from that trip to another thing and didn't get to go home. And thankfully the friends that we were staying with happened to have the same watch so I could charge it up, and I was like, all right, I'm good.
Do you track your heart rate variability on there? Mm-hmm. So that's one of the few metrics that are really, because there's times when you want to go to the gym but you're tired and you're like, I need a rest day, I'm overtrained, I'm this. Well, heart rate variability will actually tell you if your body is saying, I need a break. Other than that, it's just fun metric stuff.
Yeah.
My stuff has evolved over time. You know, if you asked me when I was a kid, I couldn't live without my bike. If you asked me when I was a young adult, I couldn't live without my car. If you asked me during lockdown, I couldn't live without toilet paper. All right, that's That is one of the more essential things. You know, as my life moves on and things change in my life, I hold different importance in things that are close to me. So I'm not a huge jewelry guy. Okay, I have my wedding ring tattooed on. I wear this ring on the show. I wear a watch. That's the extent of my jewelry. But recently, within the last year and a half, I started wearing this cross. And this cross here, it's just 3 nails put together in a cross. What it does is it grounds me. It reminds me that this is pretty much all that's important in the material world for me. Whenever I'm feeling stressed, I'll grab onto it. If I don't have it on, I feel like something's missing. Mm-hmm. So all this other stuff, I can do without it. I would be uncomfortable. I would be uncomfortable without my phone. I would be uncomfortable without my watch. I'd certainly be uncomfortable without toilet paper. But I don't know if I'd want to live without the cross on there, because even though it's in my heart, this is the physical representation of what's in my heart. That makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah.
So Slipknot 422, thank you for sending your question in. If you could continue to send your questions in, we'd much appreciate it. We need that content for the show, so keep sending in your questions. We'll try to get them on here. So we had this event that you were so gracious to ask me to come to, and I walked in there kind of not knowing what to expect. I didn't know. I've only been to a couple jiu-jitsu tournaments. And the first thing I saw was the young kids. The young kids were coming first. And I'm watching the excitement in their face. And I'm like, oh, that's what this is about. That's what this is about, that excitement. So when you first had this grand idea for Seminar Stack, and I know how it came out of your healing, and it came out of your interest for your husband. At least I hope you have interest for your husband.
I think there's a little bit there.
Yeah. We'll give it a couple years. It'll change. What was your grand vision for having this event? Like, what did you really want to accomplish?
So I think that directly correlates with what our mission statement and vision is, and I think that Eric can speak to that.
Yeah, so like the whole mission behind Seminar Stack, falls directly into that grand vision, and like that mission is to try and build safer communities, through skill sharing, through knowledge sharing, through resource sharing, giving all these opportunities, for anybody. We put a big emphasis on the first responder community, not just law enforcement. We do a bigger emphasis on law enforcement because of my career and like my path and all that kind of stuff. But first responders as a whole, that includes EMTs, that includes fire, that includes volunteer fire police, that includes nurses, doctors. Like all these people need training and have all these resources, but sometimes it's not what they need for the moment. And we want to try and help fill into that spot. And the more that we fill that spot in, the better this communities get and the safer they get, and the more likely you are to, ask for those help from those individuals.
One of the things that was so encouraging about what you both did here was you saw an issue, you saw a void, and you were able to, that's what's on my cup, engage. You were able to engage what you feel inside and put yourself, because I'm sure there was lots of fights about this. I'm sure you two were arguing left and right on this stuff. So you put yourself and your relationship at the forefront in harm's way, and you were willing to engage yourself to try to fill that void. So I was always very, very, it garnered a lot of respect when somebody does that. Right, wrong, or indifferent. At least you have a passion, and you're going to fill that void. Now, that being said, you set this date, and now it's in stone. What kind of anxiety building up was, 2 months out, 3 months out?
Well, I am inherently the anxious one. I worry about everything all the time. And I think it's because I like to plan and I like to have things set in stone. So when it comes to planning an event like this, that goes out the window. There's no such thing as planning. You can prepare and make a plan, but it doesn't follow through the way that you envision it, and that's just the way life is. And so my anxiety started from day one.
Well, how many months out did you start planning this?
Not soon enough, and that falls on me, because we did our first...
Way to keep your marriage happy by taking the...
We did the first one, before we became a business, and then that was June of 2024. And then she was ready, like, the next week, all right, let's do this. Let's plan the next one. Let's plan 2025. And I was like, I don't think I'm not ready to commit to this yet. And it took me like 3 or 4 months to come around on it.
Which is no time at all.
Which is no time
let's
at
be
all,
honest,
but,
it's
like,
no time at all.
9 months you were planning this?
But so we
Yeah.
started the planning process for it, probably sat down and actually thought about it and started it in like October.
Right. And then by November, we had decided to file everything to make it a proper business, work on, all of those things that go into making it official, if you will. And then just continued our planning process for what the event needed to look like and what we wanted to include in that and what was important and what, we could grow into, if you will.
That was where the biggest arguments was what's important now, what are we going to grow into, let's not do everything year one.
Yeah,
That's-
you had a lot of stuff there, and there, I'm watching. Everything from where'd you get your mats, the tables, like the little things that nobody wore, the goodie bags, the giveaways, the coins, the T-shirts, all this stuff, and then you put all this stuff together, and you have this. Okay, this is how it's going to go. Because I'm a lot like you, Kate, right? I'm that person that puts this plan in place, and when it doesn't go my way, you will see me lose my shit. You really will see me. I was in the hotel, and I had my family with me. I brought them to Hershey, and the one room I apparently only booked for one night, and I just like, no, this is not how I planned it in my head, and that's something small. That just, worst case scenario, the kids would come and stay in our room. It's not a big deal, but even something on that level. So, give me an example of what you're talking about, Kate, where you tried to plan.
I've got a great one. When we first did the fundraiser, before we decided to make this a business and try and move into, making this, we'll call it professional or stable or whatever. There's a million things that you could call it. When we did our fundraiser, we had 2 instructors cancel last minute.
Yeah, like
One canceled
within the month.
a month or 2 out. The other one canceled within a little under a month out. And
What was the reasoning for canceling?
no, we had 3 instructors cancel. One was because in the jiu-jitsu world, there are a lot of moving factors, just like there is anything else. One was a tournament that somebody ended up competing in that was paid. And our fundraiser initially was our instructors were completely volunteers. They didn't get paid from us. It was strict donation of their time and their travel. So we could not cover anything for the very first one. So one was, hey, essentially I have a paid gig.
Are you ready to enhance your skills and provide the best care to those who need it the most? I'm Kevin Donaldson.
I'm Sherry Alsop. Our trauma-informed training is here to help, and we've been traveling across the country delivering this essential need to departments and organizations of every size, shape, and makeup.
We come to you with on-site training so you don't have to worry about travel or scheduling conflicts.
This isn't just a class, it's an interactive experience. You'll learn directly from subject matter experts who teach from a victim's point of view, putting you in the shoes of those who have experienced trauma.
This approach allows you to understand trauma on a deeper level and to better serve the individuals you work with.
We'll guide you through new interview techniques that prioritize a victim-centered approach, ensuring safety and empathy in every conversation.
And for those of you in law enforcement or other fields, our training includes post-credits, giving you the extra added value and recognition for your commitment to professional growth.
We offer references upon request to show just how effective our training can be.
Don't miss the opportunity to improve your understanding of trauma and make a real difference in the lives of those you serve. Get in touch with us today by going to sherryalsop.com and let us bring trauma-informed training to your organization.
Together, we can make a lasting impact.
But I'm going to tell you, that's bad business. As somebody who goes across country to these departments, and not every place I go, I get paid for it. Not every place that happens. Some of the places, they need me to be there. They need me and my speaking partner. And when I commit to something, it's my word. I don't like that. Like that kind of puts a bad taste in my mouth.
I mean, he did everything that he literally possibly could to make up
specific
for
instructor
it.
found another one to replace him. Like, that was fine.
He replaced it. He tried to even do both, to drive up, teach his thing, and then push his way in for the event another hour or 2 so he could come up, teach, turn around, go right back down, weigh in, and fight. And the opponent was like, nah. And so he's like, well, I'm gonna take this paying gig instead. But he helped us find the replacement. So
Right.
he did the right thing in the canceling.
And that was fine. But the two others were much more stressful. One didn't give us a reason, and he just was out. And then the other tried to find us a replacement, but their replacement didn't work out either. So that was this the very first time I was like, oh, this is going to be harder than I anticipated, because it's fine finding all the pieces. It's work for sure. But when people don't follow through with what they say they're going to do, that's something out of your control, and handling that kind of stress is very different, and where I struggle the most with. I'm fine handling stress when it comes to something within my control, but when I can't control it, that's where I start, like, my anxiety's outside.
See, it's just counterintuitive to the way I am. I'll give you an example. I'm out in California and I'm filming something in LA. And I got the opportunity to fly to Stockton, California to get a very well-paying gig with he was a influencer, a guy named Jadon. And I wanted to do it, but I had somebody flying in for the show. I can't do that to somebody. What a douche move. Like, it is. It's a douche move to do that. And especially in that type of business where people are hiring you to go speak, all you got is your name. And once your name starts to get sullied like that, man, you're setting yourself up for failure. You know, and I don't know what the reasons are, and I'm not trying to judge them too much, but yeah, that's not cool. How about, so that was, you learned a couple things with that first event, right? So what was the one we can't do that thing that you learned from that first event?
Most of the stepping stones are from the marketing event, because we weren't a business and we had never been in that position. And it's Eric and I in our kitchen, sorting it out. So we didn't pay for marketing. We didn't pay for instructors. It was all donation based. So the way that events run is by word of mouth or marketing. And it is vital when you're trying to provide services, especially in a field like first responders or law enforcement, specifically when you're trying to fill in a gap. It's vital that people are aware of it and know about it. And you can't rely on word of mouth to do that when you're trying to bring something and break into a space that's already a little resistant to it. You just can't. So I think that one of the most important things that we have to be cognizant of is that our marketing is extremely important, and it's not just to sell tickets, it's to make people aware that these things exist. And whether that is Seminar Stack as an event, or whether it's Kevin, you going around and speaking in engagements that are available for people to have those kinds of opportunities, or different training companies realizing that they are there. So
I'm lucky because I don't have to deal with the marketing portion of it.
I just think that in the space that we're in, like, that's what we're all about, right? We're trying to provide resources to people, and marketing is a huge part of that, and it's something that we can't skimp on.
Yeah, and even in that marketing too, it's like you have to, in how everything is now, you have to make yourself seem legitimate.
Oh yeah,
you can't be
a fly-by-nighter.
It's easy for someone to just pay for an ad for something, like, oh, and you click it and it's just clickbait. Like, we have to now separate ourselves, not just for them to figure out that we exist, but that we are real and it's just happening. And that's another big thing that we have to
Coming on
navigate.
podcasts, being the face, allowing ourselves to be public about who we are and what we're doing is something I struggle with very much. Eric is much better at it.
It's very difficult when you and there's people who have a message that they want to get out, and I encourage them to try this, and this is what works for me. And not to say that I'm the end all be all. I've just been doing it for a very long time. Some people are very uncomfortable with that, and I'm like, well, this is the name of the game, man. This is what it is. It's not always fun. Not every show I do I want to go do. Most of them, are great. But some of them I'm like, I don't really want to do it. But you do it because that's how things get out there. That's how you become seen. And I know this was the first one you did, right? This was the first podcast that you did, but you were on the Ish's podcast. Did you do Relentless Project?
We did both. So we did Relentless Project, and then I did No Cop Out with him. And then we did Twisted Remedies podcast as well, and another one with Heroic Industries.
Yeah, I did his too. Yeah.
We're on Jiu-Jitsu Dummies next week. Their podcast down in Florida. So that's a big breaking point for her to be the face. She's not used to that. You know, I go on the stand and I testify in front of people about like what I saw in court hearings, and I did theater back in grade school, and like so like I'm.
Well, being on the stand is theater.
Yeah.
There's some theater in
It's
there.
like factual theater.
Yeah. Listen, you have to have your stuff, but you also have to make everybody believe that what you're saying is true.
Yeah.
Which is pretty much what you have to do now. You have to make everybody believe that seminar stack in this tournament and this whole event is a real thing. And when you're doing it for the first time, the fact that you came back for a second one, it's either you're a glutton for punishment or you saw some sort of value in it, one or the other.
There's absolutely value in doing these kinds of things. I feel like in life in general, making yourself uncomfortable, there's value in it somewhere. I don't know if there's anything that we've ever done that was uncomfortable that didn't provide some kind of benefit at the end of the day.
Well, there's never one thing in your life that you have that you got through comfort. It's not, or at least something that you're not going to appreciate anyway.
Sure.
So out of that first event in 2024, what was the one thing, if you could boil it down to one thing that made you continue and even entertain the idea of doing it the next year?
The absolute feedback from every single person that was there, from
People
our volunteers,
coming up to us and saying what value they felt.
the instructors talking about how like they came up and like the first event was like not even a third of what we did in August, and all of them were like, this was so fantastic, this was great, thank you guys so much. If you do it again, let us know. Like all the people that took the seminars like were raving about how much they learned and how great the instructors were, and this is awesome. The vendors had a great time. You know, it was the feedback, and we're like, oh man, I think we landed on something here.
You hit a note.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's the inevitable dark side of it. Okay, you already said you had some instructors cancel out. What were some other things that were just unforeseen difficulties that came through?
I think it's with any event, not just ours. There's going to be issues with venue. There's going to be issues with vendors. There's going to be issues with anybody that you come in contact with when it comes to planning an event. There's going to be some kind of a bump or unforeseen. And that is just the nature of event planning. It happens with weddings, it happens with events, it happens with fundraising. Like, there are just unforeseens in every facet, and if you can't handle that, then you shouldn't be doing it. I think that weddings is a good one to point on, because a lot of the times those kinds of unforeseens hit a different note because it's so personal. Whereas events like ours are not really, they're not personal when it comes to event planning per se.
I guarantee you, though, there are some people who were supposed to come to your event that didn't show up at your event. And on some level, you probably took it personally.
Oh, absolutely. Because this is our business baby.
Yeah.
You know, like it's
project.
personal to us because we care so deeply about it. But you know, it's not as personal as a wedding. You know, but
well, they're intimate friends.
Yeah.
Usually, usually the people you invite, they're intimate friends. So for them to kind of let you down, that's a whole different level of stuff.
Yeah.
So you start planning for the August of 2025, and you take all this stuff that you've learned from the first event, which, you know, out of your own mouths, where you didn't feel yourself as being legitimate or real, and something flipped and you said, hey, let's do this for real. Let's go full bore on this. There's something here. So what was the first thing? Like, you have the concept already down. What was the first thing that you hit going into 2025 for this latest event? What was the one thing that you hit where you're like, all right, this is where we're going. This is the direction. You said marketing. Was there something else?
Yeah, number 2 for me, at least, I don't know what it was for you, was getting our courses certified through the state. As you are aware,
it's not as difficult as you think it is.
It's not difficult. It's tedious. It's not necessarily the process that's the hard part. It's who you're dealing with and their timeline. Again, something you can't control. You can fill out the paperwork perfectly, but you still have to rely on those things of people reading the paperwork and then processing it. And our 4 to 5 week time frame turned into 6 months. So for me, the first legitimacy that came through that I needed and wanted for our event was having some kind of a certification specifically for our first responder courses.
So people, a little background on this, police officers in most states now have to be, it's like a CEU for a police officer. They have to be licensed and they have to be certified and they have to take so many credits per year. In the state of Pennsylvania, it's CLEE, which I found out that CLEE is in Oklahoma, Pennsylvania, and Missouri.
Oh.
All right. So I've done 2 events in Missouri for police officers where I was able to use that CLEE certification.
Amazing.
Nice.
So it was a blessing in disguise. I'm like, what do I got to fill? Let me just do it. And I literally did it in one day. It was nothing.
Mm-hmm.
It really wasn't all that difficult. It was just taking the time to sit down and go through it and develop and all that stuff. But it's not, everything has value.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everything has value. And to bring that extra added value to police officers is going to bring more people in, you know? But then there's the minor things, right? There's the T-shirts and the coins and, you know, making sure all these people, like, that stuff is a logistics nightmare.
I loved it.
Yeah, that's where Kate thrives, is in
Yeah.
those weird back-end logistics. And then I help dial it in and keep it organized.
Well, do you have a way of organizing that stuff for you?
I should.
You don't. You
I
just
don't.
you wing it.
I do.
She's just got lists and lists and lists all over the place, and then we have to work together to bring it into one communal list and be like, listen, this is the one we're using, not that one anymore. We've already moved that one to here. Let's not document things twice. So I help dial it into that
We're
one
working on
unifies.
that.
We're working on it.
Are you one of those people that walk around with your phone and you have to write yourself a note?
I should write the notes.
That's the difference. I write the note.
That's right.
She just has the brain thought and texts me and then forgets about it. She's like, well, I texted you about it. I'm like, well,
you're the idea person.
She's the idea person.
the idea person. So, in all reality, one of the things that works for me when I get overwhelmed and stuff, and I got a lot, like say a show gets posted and I got to review and I got to do all these things, I will write a list. I have a app on my phone called Minimal List, and I'll write the list on my phone. And in order to cross the list off, you just run your finger through it and it crosses a line. And there's some satisfaction to crossing stuff off the list. But what it does is it allows it to get out of here where I don't have to remember it. I have it already written down. It gives me the freedom to forget it and free up my mind to get filled with the 17 other things in my head. But that's the only way I could get through that stuff. So I encourage you to do that because it does help.
We have a piece of butcher paper on our coffee table right now.
And a Sharpie on it. So every chance idea, she just writes it down on the
write it on the table,
coffee
like
table.
when we're sitting on TV or whatever, and I just write it on the table.
Because the random thoughts pop in your head, and if you don't get them down, inevitably they're going to escape, and you're just going to lose that opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely.
Was there something, especially after the first one, was there something that you wish you thought about, but you just didn't get a chance to put into action?
Several things.
I mean, I think that goes down to the scope of dialing in the scope of what the event was. And she was like, so the way that Seminar Stack first started is we were trying to figure out how to fundraise, and we were like, what should we do? And she was like, let's host a fight. And I was like, hold on, we're not there yet, you know. And then she's like, what about a tournament? And I was like, well, you know, we could probably put together a tournament. And I was like, but in jiu-jitsu world, like there's all these other already recognized tournaments. So I feel like that's a harder one to break into as well. And then it fell back on like my immediate response when I started training jiu-jitsu was like, oh, people need to know about this. And I was like, what if we did seminars? And so then we're able to use people who are already in existence and use their knowledge and teach it. And so like bringing that scope down has been the ever going issue.
Yeah, but eventually you do this enough, you're going to have it down. Like you're going to say, okay, we need to do A, B, and C. Get ready for this. These got to be ordered now, and this has to be put out, and the marketing has to be done. You're kind of swimming in uncharted waters.
Yeah.
Even now, probably.
Yeah, a
Yeah,
little bit.
even now.
How we're trying to navigate that as newer in this space is by first and foremost not being afraid to ask for help. We're also not trying to do a money grab where we are trying to put on a fight and do this and do that and do it all alone. Like Eric and I are still, white belts, and I'm not going to teach a seminar to somebody just because it's more cost effective. I'm not going to put on a jiu-jitsu tournament just because I want it. So we're partnering with other companies to be able to bring those things to people. For instance, the all ages jiu-jitsu tournament that we have partnered with a company called Control Combat. They're amazing. And by partnering with them, not only does it alleviate a little bit of the liability, it brings something to the event in full form without us half-assing it, to be honest.
They bring the mats, they bring the
They
timers,
bring their
they bring
mats,
everything.
they bring their timers.
That's
We
great.
help them staff things for volunteers and things like that, and we help with logistics. And the tournament, like the cash pool for the first responders bracket, we're bringing in help with like I said, the volunteers, and as well as like giveaways and stuff like that all runs through the seminar stack. But we partner with them so that they can handle that and we can handle this piece. So instead of trying to do it all ourselves, we're allowing the event to grow and be good without overbearing ourselves. So some of the other pieces that I'm sure we'll end up talking about is bringing in a fight promotion for the end of the evening. I'm not going to put on a fight promotion as much as I really want to. I'm going to partner with somebody to do that piece, and there'll be some kind of a donation component for our nonprofits that we are fundraising for in order to make that happen. That way, I'm not throwing two guys in a ring on a parking garage roof with a spotlight and making it a crappy event just because I wanted it to happen. It's going to be a full-fledged event.
It's actually a really good
rights.
idea, by the way.
And it also takes away liability. It helps with the stress of planning. It also gives more value not only to the event, but to our vendors, to our sponsors, anybody who's tied into it, because now you have all these different pieces that you're tied into, and you're still focused on seminar stack.
It was a large picture, and I saw you there, and I went up and said hello to both of you, but I was very cautious because I've been at those events. I've run not anything to that level, but on smaller level events. And it's like your wedding, right? Where you have all these people there, you know most of them, you want to say hi to them, and inevitably when you leave, you say, I wish I would have talked to them more. So I sort of just left you be. I said hello to you, thank you very much, and I just left you be. Just tell me where I got to be. I'll hit my mark. I'll be good. Because Eric, you were a little bit more relaxed.
Yes.
You were a little bit more relaxed. You looked a little frazzled.
Well, I had about 65,000 steps on my watch. I think we got there at 5 a.m. and then we didn't leave until almost midnight, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And we were there at 5 a.m. to finish setup stuff, and then
Well, you did that ruck in the morning, right?
Mm-hmm.
We weren't completed with our full tear down, everything. Let's go get dinner. That was at like 8:30.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's a long day.
Yeah.
And then I'll bet you slept for another 2 days after that.
No, we hosted one of our instructors the next day and drove him to the airport.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh.
So we didn't really get a day off again. So then we still worked the whole night, because then we went to dinner with the instructors that were still around and doing that networking side of things and that business side. And that's when she says we were still working until midnight, because we didn't get back to our house until after midnight, the day of the event. And then the next day we were still hosting people and still taking people to the airport, doing that stuff. So like we worked all of Sunday as well. And then Monday was the first day where we like.
So after the event, you have to. Do you do like you do? I guess you got to do the books, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's money coming in. You got to make sure that everything's accounted for. Nobody took something they weren't supposed to. The difference is this time I'll be staying later on this one because I actually wanted to see the final tournament. I couldn't because I had to get back for something else. Mm-hmm. But and I had my wife and kids in the car, and they're like,
Yeah.
they could only hang around Hershey so long.
That's fair.
But anyway, these events, they're labors of love, and I don't know. What would it take for you to say that, okay, this is a financial viable thing that I can sustain, and it's financially worth it? Because I don't care what I saw there in August. I don't know whether there was any amount of money that would make it financially viable for the amount of stress that you put in.
Honestly, breaking even makes me happy at this point, because like we truly believe in what we're doing. I looked frazzled because I just.
Yeah, but your time's not free.
It's not, but if my time is spent on something that I actually feel is important and gives me purpose, then it's worth it to me. That I'm paying for purpose, in my opinion. If something else comes up or that changes, then we'll reevaluate at that point in time. But part of the reason why we started it as a business is because it truly gives both of us passion and purpose, and that's something that a lot of people don't ever even find. So the fact that I can potentially use that as a job is incredible. So yeah, it's a lot of running around and frazzle and whatever it might be, but at the end of the day, like, we're pushing a message that we truly believe in, and there's nothing better than that.
It's probably incredibly rewarding to get all these people, these like-minded people in one room and just have them take a look around. And it's kind of like, you can sit on top of that and go, yeah, we put this together. We did this stuff. Yeah. There's a pride thing in there.
The more rewarding part of that isn't the people that are all like-minded. It's getting that one person who isn't to show up and to look at it, and then after the event, they become of the like mind. That's what we're doing this for. is for that person who hasn't done it yet. Gives them an opportunity to do it, to try it, to test it, and then be like, "Ooh, that was really cool. I'm gonna keep doing this."
It's
Yeah, we had security guard like pop up just to check it out and be like, "Oh,
It's like I didn't know this.
I had no idea that this is
event
what this was." Like, we might see him at the next event. Like, those are the kinds of things. It's the unexpected. Like, oh, this is cool, or I didn't think about this, or I don't really like jiu-jitsu, but I didn't realize that you also had, this nutrition class that was free, or focusing on something that they might not have expected would be available to them. It's part of the reason why we want it to be multifaceted.
So one of the things, and we spoke about this in August, New Jersey has actually, and it's grossly insufficient, but New Jersey has implemented 2 hours of jiu-jitsu training.
No, I can't remember. Somewhere between 2 and 8.
I know guys who just did it.
Oh.
They just did it, and somebody blew their shoulder out. Okay, somebody blew their shoulder out doing whatever they did. The problem with that is I went through the police academy when they were still carrying PR-24s. All right, and they would teach you all these different moves with PR-24, which was the most impractical weapon that you could ever carry, and it was cumbersome and it was big, and they would teach you this thing called the Georgia State takedown. And in order to do the Georgia State takedown, like his right hand has to be on your left shoulder, and you got to pull down. It was the most impractical thing ever, and the set of the course of events that had to be put into place in order for you to complete this move was just no. I'm going to hit you over the head with it, and that's how I'm going to do it. So nobody ever carried it, and you got your refresher course. You had maybe 2 or 3 hours in the academy. You got a refresher course for 4 hours every year. Nobody's remembering anything. With something like jiu-jitsu, 2 hours, it's insufficient. They're not going to go full force. And also the way it's being implemented, from what I understand, just having a little bit of knowledge of jiu-jitsu, they're teaching them things that are so advanced. Like, do you remember your first jiu-jitsu course? I was just taught how to fall and how to roll and all that stuff. That's all it was. They're not teaching him that. They're teaching him, okay, if somebody comes, bring him in, put him in the clinch, stuff like that. They're teaching him way too advanced for the beginning of it. So they're kind of swimming in uncharted waters.
Yeah, and I think that also comes to is like, who do they have teaching it? Because they put this thing out there, right? And I don't think that they were fully ready for that implication or for that adaptation of it. Like who's the instructor? What makes them the instructor? Where's their background? It's like, oh, we'll take our defensive tactics instructors who've been our DT guys, for years. You're now teaching jiu-jitsu. Go take a week of class.
Yeah.
Like that's not enough. They should, like, jiu-jitsu is very complicated, and can be very injury prone, but it can also be something that you can do at full force, completely safe, which is what I do.
You're right. I agree with that 100%.
Yeah.
I've gotten my arm twisted around where it should have popped my shoulder, and it didn't. It didn't because you learn how to move. You learn how to be in that situation. Mm-hmm. But then I go to different places in the country, and I'll go into a police academy to teach. They have full jiu-jitsu rooms in police academies, and I remember where was it? Liberty, Missouri. Liberty, Missouri, the home of Jesse James. That's how I know Liberty, Missouri. Another CLEE certified department. With Liberty, their room was probably the nicest jiu-jitsu room I've ever seen in my life. And while I was there's active classes going on. And these guys are rolling around, and I'm watching this stuff. And I just stood in the back, and I asked the sheriff, I said, "Do you mind if I just watch for a second?" And he said, "Sure." And these guys they were further along than I expected. But that's what's getting put into police departments. And that's the stuff that has to be put into police departments. Mm-hmm. So with seminars like yours, all it is bringing awareness. What does Pennsylvania require?
So I'm also in a weird spot. Since I'm Pennsylvania State Police, I don't fall under what's called MOPEC, the Municipal Police Officers. We're trained differently. So all of my stuff is done in-house with the Pennsylvania State Police. Whereas MOPEC, the municipals, they're the ones that fall under the CLEE certification that you obtain. Like, they have their hours. So for us, we have a mandatory in-service training day, which is a full 8-hour shift, and like that kind of covers it. But that's everything from like our use of force updates to any new rules and regulations administratively that have updated, and then we'll also do the defensive tactics stuff. So right before my crash happened, I remember the last one we did, they started teaching us break falls, and no one that I was with was taking this serious. Like, oh, I'm never going to use that. I'm like, dude, how many times people fall down all the time? Like, let's learn how to do it so we don't hurt ourselves while we're wearing 40 pounds of gear. Mm-hmm. So For us, it's a couple hours. It's probably similar to that 2 hours, of jiu-jitsu training, but it's defensive tactics stuff. But it's the same like with the baton. We have to do our baton cert in that 1 day time, and our taser recert, and our whatever they choose to do when our handcuffing, and then the extra 2 hours is like up to their discretion. It's like, all right, what are we going to teach this year?
But it's different for police officers, right? So teaching jiu-jitsu to police officers, and because again, you have that 40 pounds of gear. Do you guys wear the tack vests?
No, we wear under the shirt vest, so all of our stuff is on our hip.
Because those tack vests, man, as far as like a grappling situation, that's the worst thing ever. You just like grab.
Great handholds.
Yeah, I'm just not letting go. That's like the collar of the gi, just I'm not letting go of that ever. So teaching that, how do you break that? How do you do this? These are all things that people got to think about, because I've been in a lot of places, and I said, you know what? If you learn jiu-jitsu, you'll lower use of force. I've said this once, I'll say it 1,000 times. It will lower uses of force, because if somebody's mouthing off and you spouting off to you, you got no ego in there, and you'll be like, dude, settle down.
Yeah.
You're going to hurt yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. But getting back to seminar stack, so you start planning for this second one. What changed from the first one to the second one, aside from marketing?
I think it's just a direction on how we wanted seminar stack to be perceived and what the overall goal was. And that's how like the mission statement was formed, and really what we were trying to do. Whereas the first one was really fundraising to benefit Adopt-A-Cop, doing something that we believed would be beneficial. Seminar stack is much more about that mission statement and about providing, the safer communities and resources to officers to continue this as something that can be prolonged, as opposed to like just a 1 day event. We want this to be something that people can use to be able to continue their training, so they're not just doing 1 hour of training or one seminar a year. It's we're going to taste test, Officer Survivor Series or Invictus LEO. We took their seminar at Seminar Stack. We heard because of them that they now have 3 or 4 other events going on throughout the year. These other instructors are in this part of the state. Like, that's our goal. Our goal is to provide those resources for additional training, whether that's just jiu-jitsu or whether that then bleeds into, we had martial blade concepts with knife combatives. We had clinch fighting. We have you speaking on mental health. Like, all of these things, the goal of the event is to be multifaceted. And I think the biggest change between year 1 and year 2 was finding that that's the direction that we wanted to take the business.
It must have been somewhat popular. It must have been somewhat successful, because now you're doing short stack.
Yeah.
Which I kind of like. That name's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Who came up with it? Come on.
I did it.
You notice you didn't take that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, that one was me.
So what's different about short stack coming up on November 22nd?
We're taking the grandeur of Seminar Stack, which was 15 plus seminars, including 3 speakers and 6 jiu-jitsu seminars and a tournament and a ruck and 35 vendors and all that like $7,000 of giveaways and all this kind of stuff. And we're taking that grandeur and we're bringing it down to like a smaller scale. And instead of everything happening all at once, so like the tournament's running while this seminar's running, while that seminar's running, it's done in sections. So like the ruck will happen in the morning, and then by the time the ruck is done, the tournament will start. And by the time the tournament's done, the seminars will start, and then the day's over. So that way you can try to experience everything and then pick which one you like. When you come back to the big one, you'll be like, oh, I really like this, I'm going to do that. And then, instead of it being like, oh, I don't know what to do, like you can try them all.
Right.
Short stack.
Well, I like that idea actually better, because there's a lot of stuff going on, and I was actually kind of mad I didn't get a chance to watch as much of the tournament that I wanted to, but I saw this as the seminars are going on. People are doing this and people are doing this, and there's so much going on. They got paralyzed by everything that was happening. So I think that's going to be a really good thing. Now, if this works out the way you hope it works out, is that going to be possibly the new format for next year's Seminar Stack? No, you're going to keep it the same way.
So, but the goal with short stack, I think, is to help people see what Seminar Stack is in small doses. So that way, when they come to our annual event, Seminar Stack, it's not short stack, Seminar Stack will be the one that's everything's going on. They're like, okay, I have a better idea now of what I want to do at Seminar Stack, at this expo style event. And the short stacks will then happen maybe, ideally, like once a quarter, depending. you know, or like once or twice a year.
That's
so
a lot.
So like you would have like a short stack and then a seminar stack and then maybe another short stack, or maybe just one short stack. We're not sure. Depends how it goes.
Twice a year. Seems-
Twice a year.
Yeah, but now what happens if you put this out there and your reception to it is more than seminar stack? Because your name's already out there. Like you already have established a brand.
So
We
we're
pivot.
we
We pivot.
Yeah. I mean, there might be things that we take from short stack that we then implement into seminar stack.
So if that
like,
format really works better in the long run, it might just be that, okay, in order to do all the things that we want to do for Seminar Stack, it's a multi-day event now. So now there's always going to be a tournament. There's always going to be this. There's going to be this many seminars. Day 1 is health, wellness, fitness, jiu-jitsu. And day 2 is health, wellness, fitness, first responders. And all the seminars on that day are first responders focused, whereas the other ones like sport jiu-jitsu and those kinds of things. Like we create multiple days to be able to allow people to hit every category.
If you get enough people certified, departments, if they were smart, would send their officers, go here, you can get X, Y, and Z done, and then that's part of your certification, and they spend one day there. Like then you become a training seminar on top of a jiu-jitsu stuff. And I'll be like you, I'll be an idea person. But but I'm looking at it from an administrative standpoint.
Right.
You know, I know you have this deal with York, and a lot of the people in York are going to be showing up here, or at least they have the opportunity to. If you look at it from an administrator standpoint, it's like, well, you know, I'm not paying to send them here for 3 or 4 hours and do this, but if I send them there for a day, then it's worth it to me, where they can get their credits, they can get their certifications. So is that something that, like, when you put this stuff together, you also have to put yourself in the mind of the people who are being sent there?
Right.
You know, how they're administering their group of people, whether it's officers or whether it's fighters.
Yeah.
How much time do you spend trying to do that?
A good bit, which is why I immediately mentioned about it being multi-day, because that's always, I think, at the end of the day, being the goal. We're trying to marry all of these different categories and things together, but like you just said with administrators, if the fun day is just completely focused on first responders and certifications, like all of the seminars can be that way for that one day. The day before can be focused on martial arts, health, wellness. So we're not giving up anything from what we want to be presenting as seminar stack, but we are separating it in a way that makes sense for different groups of people while still engaging them together as a community.
Well, ultimate goal is to get people there interested in the physicality of jiu-jitsu and the values of jiu-jitsu. And that's one of the goals anyway. Mm-hmm. But if you have that goal in mind and you want people to go there and experience what a jiu-jitsu tournament is, and you bring them there for something else, inevitably they're going to stay the second day.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and listen, you give cops an overnight game.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they're going to go. Yeah. They're going to go. It's an away game.
No. So that's one of the tweaks that we're finding with short stack and how we're organizing short stack differently than seminar stack is, like, for short stack we only have CLEE approved seminars, so they're all focused on first responders. They're open to anybody still, but they're focused on first responders and their training, and they're all back to back to back, and it's one fee to get all of them. And we're getting more reception from departments, be like, hey, I'm going to send people to there. Do you have any discounts for that? Like, which we do, like all that kind of stuff. They're like, they understand it more, they understand it better in this format, which we're like, now we're evaluating, all right, do we want to bring something like this format to the big one, to the annual seminar stack event? So,
because there's a lot of spitballing involved. When you get involved in this, I'm sure you two have had numerous conversations over everything and anything, even probably your intimate moments. You're like, wait, I got an idea. I got to go write it down. Mm-hmm. Where it sort of interrupts your life. Your life kind of gets put on hold until it's over. Mm-hmm. How hard is it to get that out of your head after the event's over?
Well, this is our life now, Kevin. This is what we do.
Well, you do a damn good job at it.
Never stops.
It never stops.
Never stops.
You really do a damn good job at it. I've been at events that have been run for 20 years, and they weren't run as smooth as your event that was only in the second year.
No, thank you.
That's the truth. And it's in a nice place, too. You know, that's a really, really nice area. I like that area.
One of the best things about having it at that casino is the views are beautiful.
Yeah, the horse track in the back is great.
The horse track in the back, and they are so great to work with. So we're really looking forward to being able to at least do one more there, depending on how we grow, or if it's, like, again, multi-day or not. It's going to depend on how the space works out. But, I mean, from the year one, we had what, 150 people?
Like 100.
Okay, 100
We had
people.
about 100 people the first year.
And then this past one, it was a longer day, as you know, but like we had about 500 people walk through, and that's pretty crazy.
Well, I suspect you're going to have at least that many in short stack, if not probably more.
I hope so.
That's what we're hoping. Yeah, that's what we're hoping.
Because the word's out now. A buddy of mine, he texted me. He's like, "Tell me about Seminar Stack," and I told him all about it. And he goes, "That sounds pretty good," because he lives down in Virginia, and he wanted to come up from there. Now that's something when you start to get a multi-state, because you're close enough to New Jersey, you're close enough to Delaware and places like that, so you can get that multi-state interaction in there.
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever think about trying to open it up, or maybe even taking it on the road?
Absolutely. We actually we're preliminary planning for that already.
Where-
For January.
For a different area.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we've been approached for going out to Arizona, which is random, but okay.
It's really hot
we've
out
had
there.
at least 3 people ask us about Florida,
Yep.
which is pretty interesting. Another nonprofit that's down there called SOF, Shield of Faith Missions.
Danny Herrera.
Danny Herrera is down that way as well, yeah. Talking about doing an event that way, which would be really cool.
Danny's good people.
Danny's great. We talked to him today.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Messaged him
we
today.
talked to him today.
He'll send me these random text messages. I'm like, dude, you're too nice. Just stop.
He is.
Yeah.
How are you doing, Kevin?
He's like, I hope you have a great day, bro. And it's like, just be a little bit of a dick. I'll appreciate it more.
He isn't.
isn't.
He
No.
won't be. But yeah, no, we've talked about going other places. I think once we solidify the brand, that's when we're going to be able to do more with that. But also integrating the concept of Seminar Stack into other events. I know that we are currently speaking with the Patriot games. I don't know if you're familiar with who they are. They're tactical games that are based in Florida. They're awesome, amazing people. Jesse Rodriguez.
Yeah.
Jesse Rodriguez and his beautiful wife run it, and they've been around 9 to 11 years.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So we
About a
went down there.
decade.
We got a vendor table for free for Adopt a Cop and Seminar Stack, and then I volunteered while I was there as a thank you. And the community there is crazy. They're crazy. They do tactical games, like I said, shooting, and then CrossFit fitness related. And we are in discussions with them about bringing a weapons retention seminar down there for free to kick off their Miami event in the end of January, I believe.
Actually, I got a good guy for tactical training for you.
Yeah.
Jose Medina.
Okay.
He's one of the best. Been training SWAT teams now for 25 years.
Love it.
Send them our way.
I'll get you in contact with him.
Love it.
Yeah.
He's a good dude too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we met amazing people down there. So collaborating on the road is something that we're very interested in doing. And
Well, you're opening up your aperture.
Yep.
That's what you're
Right.
doing.
Exactly.
You're making all these contacts, and when you have contacts, it's like, yeah, I don't know, but I know this guy. And that's something that's really, really cool. Like Danny Herrera. Okay, so I'm going to tell you exactly how I got in contact with Danny. He reaches out to me on social media, and I talked to him for a little bit, and he just wrote a book, and he wanted to learn how to get the book out a little bit. And I said, okay, this is what I suggest. Make sure you got to get back on social media, because I got off social media. Gets back on social media, and he went in head first.
yeah.
Yep.
All right. And now he's one of these guys. He went out on Ish's podcast, and just that. I love those. I love making those relationships. I sent somebody to you. I know it didn't work out, but I sent somebody to you because I like something in your business model that you do.
Mm-hmm.
You do good work. You put your heart and soul into it, because you can tell when somebody's phoning it in. You really can.
Yeah.
It shows. It bleeds through. Is there something that you thought that you maybe phoned in on Seminar Stack that you think you might be able to do a little bit better?
I mean, I think that we did everything pretty up to our standards.
It appeared that way.
It appeared
just so
you
that
know.
way.
We
I
try
mean,
to.
The biggest thing that we're trying to fix, moving into the next ones, is like layout of like vendor area and tournament area, and like which space makes the most sense, and like those kind of like instructions. Like, but that's all like little back end stuff that like we have to figure out that no one else really knows or notices.
Yeah, but I don't think so,
but I
though.
don't
We
think so.
got
Like,
the
there's-
instructors and speakers that we wanted and we believed in, and we
Yeah.
had the events that we wanted to within reason. Like, if I had it my way, we would have built like a $50 million facility, ran a fight promotion, and then had this event quarterly.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
as Eric has told me,
It's going to be the Seminar Stack Arena.
Yeah.
Eric says not yet.
Not
so.
yet. Not yet. We got to grow into that.
But
Gotta
that
grow
being
into
said, for our first event as a business, doing what we wanted to do, I think that we accomplished that without compromising anything that we wanted to.
So if you had that proverbial crystal ball, and you're 5 years in the future.
Mm-hmm.
What does Seminar Stack look like?
Well, it's going to be a multi-day event. I can tell you that right now.
It's almost there.
It's almost there. Yeah, it'll be multi-day. Whereas I would like to say that we'd have our own facility to be able to host these kinds of things. I don't think that that's within a reasonable 5 year.
I don't know whether that's a viable option.
Yeah.
Because then, there's a whole bunch of overhead and crap like
Yeah,
that.
things happen. Like
Yeah. No, 5 years, definitely multi-day. I think that we offer, in 5 years, we have an entire day that's for first responders, and every single thing that's offered that day is certified for them. And then ideally in 5 years, we can be able to offer those to the 2 officers or first responders for free, because we've obtained enough business partners and sponsorships and those kind of things that we can be like, all right, listen, we're good. This is for you guys. That's a 5 year goal as well.
Yeah, that's a 5 year goal for sure.
And I know you guys do this pretty much full time, but then it can become a career where this is you actually have a great business model to further this down the road and actually make this something so special and so unique and just like it's yours too. It's your baby. It's what you created.
Yeah. The craziest thing about it too, though, is I'm not even in the business. Technically I'm a
volunteers on the
volunteer.
side.
I'm a volunteer, because like things will change if and when I get back to work, and so it's still, Kate is 100% Seminar Stack, and I just help while I'm able to. But it's still something that I feel like when I would come off a shift, I would happily spend another 8 hours with her working on this because it's that important.
So aside from that, and I said this during your first episode, was it's something that you created together. Okay, so you want to look at and I'm not a marriage, trust me, I'm not a marriage counselor, but it's sustainability because you both have this singular goal that you both just contribute into it, and as that grows, so do you grow, and to the point where you want to have a spouse that you can't live without, right? Well, the Seminar Stack grows the way that I think it's going to grow. You're not going to be able to live without each other, so you're kind of stuck with each other. But you have some sponsors, and I want to throw. I'm always very grateful when sponsors come into anybody's picture. You want to throw out some sponsors that you have?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I think the biggest one that we want to try and make note of and talk about is we were able to get a sponsor to allow any York County, Pennsylvania officer to come take our seminars completely for free.
Officer, admin. We'll take nurses if they're interested in doing some of the self-defense.
Any first responder in the county of York in Pennsylvania can come take every single seminar, short stack seminar for free on November 22nd.
Can I compete against the nurses? Because I owe them. Because they hurt me in the hospital a couple times. I owe them.
Absolutely.
I'll take all my shit out on the nurse, on the one nurse in front of me who had nothing to do with it. But, okay.
That's a newer sponsorship that we just had in light of the tragedy that's happened in York County. There's been a couple, but most recently there is a shooting involving 3 officers were fatally injured, and then 2 more were critically injured. And in light of that, we just want them to know that as a community, there are people here that care about what happens to them. There are people here that want to help continue that training. People like yourself are going to be there speaking on the mental wellness and purpose, and I think that it's an incredibly important time for them. And we want to be able to give that to them for free. So it's a sponsor. It's called the Community Shield Sponsorship. So we were able to get a local business to help us with that. And then we do have a couple other sponsors too.
We were able to link up at a conference with a company called Medicine in Bad Places, and they are our short stack presenting sponsor. They're based out of New York, and they're all about training medicine for civilians, for first responders, for law enforcement, all about like critical incident medicine. So like tourniquets and like tactical capabilities for that, and like concealed carry. What happens if you shoot yourself? Like that kind of training, like a lot in depth. And they also do like business counseling and like or consulting, and they'll bring that training into like corporations to do it for them, for like active shooter, and like someone's hurt now. What do you do until the EMS arrive? Those kind of things. Like they're great, and they're the title sponsor for Short Stack now, and we're really excited to be working with them.
With all the madness going on, active shooters, that I still remember all this stuff with active. Is it still one person active shooter now they teach, or they teach?
No, in Pennsylvania, it's if you. I'm assuming you're referring to like if you get there, you go in, you don't wait for the team.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, you're the first to arrive, you go in.
Yeah.
And then you link up with people as they start to arrive.
The one screwy thing about active shooter that I hate, if your partner goes down, you leave them. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the craziest. I don't know. I don't know if I do it. I just don't.
That'd be hard.
That'd be hard to do. So what are some other
And then we
sponsors?
have another big one who sponsored our first event is Game Day Men's Health, Harrisburg and Mechanicsburg locations specifically. So it's Frank and John from Game Day Men's Health. They're amazing. They work all on, preparing yourself for health and wellness.
We have a coffee sponsor, Freedom Bear Coffee, out in Nevada.
Freedom Bear Coffee.
Freedom Bear Coffee likes all my stuff, and,
Yeah,
and
he's great.
He reached out to me, I guess, and just said hello, thanks, and stuff, and I know I connected through you guys, and I actually I meant to place an order the other week, and I didn't, but I should.
Yeah, Damien's amazing.
Yeah, Damien's great.
It's a veteran-run company. Their coffee's good, which is wonderful.
Is he going to be there?
I don't think he can make it to this one. We've been trying to get him. He's out of Vegas, right?
Like Vegas, Nevada, somewhere out west.
I gotta thank him, and I gotta order some of his coffee because I always like supporting
Our ground and pound coffee.
the ground.
Did you see that? We created a coffee with him called
yeah.
Ground and Pound.
What kind of coffee is it?
It's a hazelnut.
Yeah, hazelnut medium
No.
roast. It's not very hazelnutty though, because I don't really like hazelnut, and I love this coffee.
Yeah, you can't do hazelnut. It's got to be
But-
black and bold. That's what it is.
Yep. So then you would like his the
G.I. Joe.
not G.I. Joe, the Joe something, I forget. It's his most popular one. It's like super heavy.
Yeah.
It hits hard. It's a good one.
I got to ask him to create one for me called Dumbass Coffee.
He probably would. He's great. So we have them, and then we also have our good friends at Next Generation Personal Training. They're going to be running and hosting the Ruck for us, so they're going to be up there.
What's the guy's name? Who?
Brock
Wallach.
Brock. I met him.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I met him, and then there was another guy. I can't remember his name. Big guy, like a very, very in shape, muscular guy. But
Anthony.
There were a lot of those.
I can't remember who all was there.
Yeah.
Almost all the NGPT staff was there on Seminar Stack because
Yeah.
they've been super helpful with us, and so they're up there on the parking garage roof at 7 a.m. pushing you through a workout to start your day, and then they'll come down and hang out with you for the rest of it.
Yeah.
So
Well, I'm looking forward to it. So Short Stack's coming November 22nd. It will be this will air on the 18th. Okay, the coming attraction will come out on the 17th, and Seminar Stack is this Saturday. But the most important thing is how can people get there to Short Stack and be a part of this?
yeah, so all of our Instagram or all of our socials is Seminar Stack. So website seminarstack.com, Instagram @seminarstack, Facebook same thing, Seminar Stack. To register for the event is all done right through our website on Seminar Stack. There's a Short Stack tab that talks about everything that we're offering at Short Stack. You can also register a day of for the event. So it's November 22nd at the Hollywood Casino in Grantville, Pennsylvania, which is basically Hershey, Pennsylvania.
It's 11 minutes outside of Hershey.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. So, and then Ruck starts at 7 a.m. and it'll run all the way through until the seminars are done, probably 7 p.m.
When are you going to have a podcast there? Do a live podcast.
We were,
You wanna
it's
do
in
one?
talk.
I'll man the booth. I'll man it, but just give me the equipment. I'll
Ish
do
and
it.
Kevin
Ish and
doing
Kevin.
a podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could do it.
Ooh.
We could do it. I'll sit down with Ish. I ran into Ish there. I'm taking a piss. And like, hey, Ish, I'll shake your hand in just a moment. But yeah, hey, listen,
Yeah, we wanted to have him to do the No Cop Out one live last time, and it just didn't pan out. There was just too many
no,
things
you
that he
do the
wanted
Seminar
to
Stack podcast.
do. Well, now we do, yeah.
You do the Seminar Stack podcast. That's what it is. We talk about all things health and wellness and fitness for cops. It would be fantastic.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll think about it.
We'll add that into the.
We'll add it into the
Well, no. So
the already ever-going list of what we offer.
In all reality, listen, I'm all in with you guys. Okay, you got to understand. Like I talk about you guys a lot when I do my Instagram lives. I make sure that I want to drive as many people there as possible. In reality, Ish has been doing this long enough, and I've been doing this long enough. We'll be good.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be good. You get the equipment, and we'll be all right. The difficulty, and I'll talk to you off air about some of the difficulties with doing live podcasts. That's the hard part, but there's ways around that, which I've learned because I've done enough of them. So we have a place to go. We have all that stuff. Now you've run two events. You're going on to your 2.5.
Right.
2.5.
2.5.
Yeah.
And they're not as easy to put on as people think. They show up the day and it's great and it's wonderful, but you have to live with all this pain and suffering on the back end, the fights, the uncomfortableness. Ultimately, it becomes worth it. But prior to it being worth it, you've gone through the pain and suffering. So we're coming to the end of this thing here, and I ask everybody the same question at the end. So with Seminar Stack in particular, what did all the suffering teach you as you were going through it?
I would rather suffer through planning an event like this if one person benefits from the information that's being presented. If we can reach one person, I don't care how much financial loss we get, I don't care what happens, if one person's life is changed by that event, by something at that event, maybe their nutrition changes and they start losing weight that they've been going to, then that will play into life. Or maybe it's a cop who learns a hold to keep somebody and that keeps them alive. Like, that one person makes all that suffering worth it.
Yeah, if the message that we're trying to portray, if our purpose in this event is what we say it is, then it's worth it. If what we want to do is help people with training, with being healthier, with all the multifacets that we want the event to bring to, then it's worth it. We're not going to keep doing this if we no longer believe in it. And as long as we believe in it, it doesn't really matter how hard it gets. It's worth it.
I can't thank you guys enough. I enjoy you too. I enjoy what you put on. I think you're on the right track. I think if you have the fortitude in order to continue it, it's going to be bigger than you can possibly imagine, because when I was there in August, I saw the glimmer of what this is going to become, and I really do hope you stick with it. I really, really do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you both for coming in, and you're always welcome here. You make sure that you give me any information you want me to throw out, and I will gladly throw it out. But other than that, I'm going to see you on Saturday.
Awesome.
And that's going to do it for this episode of the Suffering Podcast, the Suffering of Seminar Stack with Kate and Eric. And let's think about all the stuff that we learned. The best laid plans can often go awry. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Concepts can be adapted if they're strong enough. Follow a purpose, and it will eventually become a career. But most importantly, and I heard this out of both of your mouths, it's worth it. I want to leave you with one closing thought, though. Wherever I go, I show, and I don't know who it is, but I will show up there for one person, and I have no idea who it is. And by the end of that, I'm like, oh, I'm there for that person, because inevitably somebody will come up and say, that helped me. And I'm sure you're going to get that in the future, and I'm sure you've already done it and you don't even realize it. So always look for that one person. And that's going to do it for this episode. Don't forget to go to popple.com, put in the code TSP20 for a 20% discount on your digital business card. Follow us on all social media. That's Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn, Clapper, OnlyFans. Follow me at Real Kevin Donaldson, and of course, follow the Suffering Podcast. We'll see you on the next episode.